Victoria right now, Jon Krause, you've got the Victorian Premier saying people must work from home. This is this sort of totalitarianism. This, I mean, it's not over the top to say it's a totalitarian bend. My concern is National Cabinet is going to end up with 8 people, 9 people with their hands on the steering wheel if we're not careful. And you've got Daniel Andrews wanting to go to the left, Anastasia Palaszczuk wanting to be popular. You know, the whole thing's all over the place. And that's all I'm worried about. Someone actually has to muscle up and push through if we're going to have this National Cabinet work.
Well, I think you're right, Gary, that some premiers, and Daniel Andrews is probably the best example, have enjoyed the extra power that's come with this health crisis.
Yep.
Since he signed up to the Belt and Road Initiative with China, he might be learning something from the socialist masters in Beijing about how to control the economy and the population. But in relation to his directives and his threats that businesses are going to be fined if people go back to work at the office, I think that is just completely disingenuous. You know, businesses all over this country have invested money, they've invested time, they've invested human resources in actually making business work as best as possible through this crisis, through helping people work from home, setting up remote networks and digital technology that allows business to go on so that they can pay taxes to keep paying things like JobKeeper and all the other things that people look to government for. I think it's actually a bit of a slap in the face for all those businesses that have done the right thing for Daniel Andrews to come out and say, well, if you want to take a few people back to the office, we might fine you. And I think that it's the wrong approach altogether when so far there has been quite a cooperative approach from business in this country in terms of keeping people working. And in relation to National Cabinet, I share your concerns. But we've seen for many years now that COAG has become somewhat of a dysfunctional operation for our federation. I think there's a real need for reform of the way our federation works, and particularly in terms of the fiscal arrangements and the distribution of money between the states and territories from the Commonwealth. Perhaps that also can be put on the agenda for National Cabinet and by the Prime Minister and Scott Morrison, because at the moment we always have the Commonwealth collecting all of the money, taking all of the flack for collecting those taxes, and the states dishing it out through their health system, through their education system, but not having to bear the responsibility for collecting those taxes. I think that leads to some really perverse outcomes, and that's another thing that really needs to be fixed through the new National Cabinet process if we're going to make Australia a terrific, cooperative and competitive federation again.
Yeah, my dozen years in Canberra as a Member of Parliament, Peter Costello's, some of his finest words, there were many. One of them was, you never stand between a state premier and a bucket of federal funds. There's no doubt about that being true. But